Several of you have given the hands up that you kind of know about it, but this is what an employee assistance program is. It's a benefit that's provided by employers to help employees manage work and life so they can be productive and happy. That's cool, you know, but what does all that mean, right? So the reason why OMAG originally decided to roll this out to all of our members was because Susie Paulson, our new CEO, recognized that there was such a need, and most cities and towns didn't have one of these. And so when a situation crops up and this would be useful to have, well, then it's too late to go through a procurement process to do your own contract, and it can be costly, and it's not something that has maybe tremendously high utilization, so it's kind of hard to justify the expense. But I started at OMAG. Susie and I talked. I'm a huge believer in an EAP. I think that so much good can come from using an EAP as a manager in the workplace. I've seen many employees salvaged who would have otherwise been without their job in the end through the use of an EAP. And that's just one way to use it. So employees and anybody in their household have access to this on a voluntary basis. You don't even have to know that they're using it. There's an 800 number they call, and they will direct them to where they need to go. So because Susie had already identified this as a potential need, we went to our board, and we've got one of our board members here, Mr. Mike Bailey, who supported us 100% in pursuing implementation of an OMAG-wide employee assistance program, and we provided that as a value-added service to every one of our cities and towns who have any kind of plan through OMAG. You don't have to be in a certain plan or even in all the plans. If you've got any kind of coverage through OMAG, then you have access to this, as do your employees and anyone who lives in their household. So as I said, there's lots of areas, I guess, where you can get help. So this is kind of the list of those there. But, you know, finances. So recently I met with the folks from OKMRF, and so any of you all who are participating in that plan, if you've got employees who are thinking about retiring, OKMRF is going to start rolling out some information about the EAP because they've got financial resources that are available. So what better time to start, you know, to kind of get some help with that when you're planning for retirement. I mean, hopefully you maybe sought that out ahead of time, but that can be a stressful time. So thinking about making that big life transition, EAP can help stress, life changes, finances. It's not listed on here, but they also can provide you with some legal resources. And all of these services are free of charge. And we have people say, well, how can you do that? Well, it's just important enough. And OMAG has invested a tremendous amount of resources in this plan so that our cities and towns and their employees and their household members can get help. I just feel really, really passionate about this EAP. I'm just a believer. You're going to hear me say that again before we're done today. But has anyone in here even accessed the benefits from New Directions under the OMAGs? Yeah, no, yeah. Okay, great. That makes me happy. So here's some of the services. Short-term counseling, that's what you think of most of the time when you think of, oh, I need an EAP, I need to go talk to a counselor to deal with something that's going on in my life. But one that I'm really proud of that is included here is critical incident response. We had a couple of cities over the last quarter, I think, who had some crisis strike in their city. One was police officer involved shooting. There was a death. The other one was just someone in the workforce, in the city workforce, committed suicide. Well, that impacts everybody. You know, that impacts everybody. And the EAP is able to send resources, including people, if that's necessary, out to the city. and they will meet with people. They'll talk with people. They can do it online. They can do it over the telephone, the video conference. They've got all ways of communicating, and so we've had cities access that critical incident response, and so all it takes is a phone call to that 800 number that's listed at omag.org on our EAP page, and you just tell them what you need, and then they will help you kind of navigate through that, and you really won't have to do anything except make the phone call, and that ignites everything to move forward, and they will do it. So critical incident response is great, and a lot of times you may not think about that. You may not think, oh, we've had this crisis strike our workforce, I should call the EAP. Understandable. It isn't necessarily your first thought. But if Kevin McCullough or Billy Carter, our law enforcement specialists, or maybe Kit Pritchard or Will Shepard, who are our risk management guys, if they know of something that's happened in the workplace, they're going to bring the information to you as well. They are great ambassadors for carrying along this information when they identify a need in the workplace. So you may hear about it from them. This management and HR consultation, training and development, life coaching, performance coaching. So those are things that managers can actually use. Employees can use them too. But when I say this is a good tool for managers to have in their tool bag, I mean just that, because you can use the EAP through perhaps a corrective process with an employee, a performance improvement plan. You can include it in that. You may have an employee who's just been a mess for a long time, and you've taken all of those steps to try to correct the bad behavior in the workplace, and they're down to their last leg. Sometimes I won't say sometimes, I'll say all the time, I will recommend at some point through that process, and definitely before you terminate, it's good to make them go to an EAP. And I call that a mandatory referral. But again, you call the EAP, you tell them, I've got an employee who's got this problem and this problem and this problem, and I'm trying to salvage them. I mean, let's face it, we invest a ton in our employees, right? So we shouldn't just treat them as though they're just, throwaway. We don't want to do that. We want to salvage them if we can. This is a good way. And as I said in the beginning, I have seen employees have their lives salvaged, because usually there's some reason why an employee can't get their act together. There is a reason. Let's get to the root of that. This can help you with that. So I recommend, if you've not ever done that, if something comes up, call us at OMAG. We're always ready to help as well. But this is just, I can't emphasize enough how great that is for you all as managers. WorkLife Resources, awareness campaigns, financial and legal consultation. So I don't know, do you all, we send emails out all the time that I get from New Directions, and Matt makes sure that those go out on a blast. Are you all getting those? Are you seeing those? Yeah, if not, let us know, because those come out all the time, and they're usually relevant topics for the time of the year. So back to school is probably stress, or Christmas is, the holidays could be stressful, or if it's Suicide Prevention Month, I think we've had some emails go out about that, or even breast cancer awareness. I mean, we all deal with those things, and this EAP can really help us kind of find our way sometimes on those tough subjects. So those they do have lots of literature that comes out, and so I'm hoping you all are getting that. So as I said, they've got all kinds of ways of communicating with you, the counseling and coaching, and we learned this, that I thought, okay, we go into this pandemic, how are we going to do this? I mean, people, I always like the FaceTime, I mean, like literally in person, I want to be able to see you. But we've learned that it is possible, alternate ways of communicating, and they've got it down at New Directions. And they are statewide, so that was one of the terms of our contract. We want to know if someone is up in the Panhandle We want to know that they've got access to services. We don't want just these clumps of providers in Oklahoma City or in Tulsa, because that's not where you all are. So they're supposed to have somebody, even if it means you have to go into, Texas or Kansas or Arkansas, if you're in, close to the border of the state. You can go into another state if that's, if that is best for you. So they've got all of these ways of communicating, and again, everyone in the household, and it doesn't have to be a relative necessarily. If they're living in the household, then they can get help through the EAP. And all you have to do when you call that 800 number is say, I'm with the city of Yukon, I'm an OMAG city, and they'll know what to do. Legal and financial consultation. Again, this kind of gave us the idea, well, maybe we ought to, since we've got all these partners through OML and OKMRF, and I met with the MISO folks a couple of weeks ago. They're going to carry this out to their Public Works rodeo. Well, that's cool, So we've got all kinds of folks out there, all of our partners who are helping us push this information out. But if I need financial help or legal help, my first thought's probably not going to be the EAP, but maybe it should, because they can help direct you. Now, it'll be free for the first consultation on these services, but if you have to get an attorney, then they'll help you find one. But that won't be free of charge. So there are some costs associated depending on the kind of services you're needing. But that first conversation where they help you figure out what you need, there's no charge for that. WorkLife Resources. I love this part of it because, as I said, so many of us are in that sandwich where we're maybe dealing with, kids on one side and aging parents on the other. Family resources, if you've got a troubled teen, I wouldn't know where to go necessarily, but they would, and they can help you figure out all of the various resources that are available through, community services and that kind of thing. The EAP just has, I don't even know what all they have in their playbook, but they got a ton of stuff. And I've seen it work for other folks, and again, it's free. So this says employees receive concierge services. So in talking with our account rep, she said that they have even had folks call before because they're trying to plan this trip, a family trip, and they're going to bring all their kids together. They're going to have this great time. They haven't ever been able to do it before, and they're just stressed to the max, don't even know where to start. They helped them plan a vacation. So when I say that they are there to support in all aspects of life to make that work-life balance better, they mean it. So that concierge service, they're ready to help you figure it out, whatever it is. So I think that's pretty cool. All of the EAPs don't do that, but the one we have does. So I'm super proud of that. Any questions so far? I just feel like I'm kind of just zooming along here. Okay, again, the critical incident response, and that was one thing I haven't talked about, but not just on critical incident response, but all of the services in the EAP available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There's not a day they are not available. Again, all of these critical incident. They've even sent people out when we had the floods. They've been in contact with cities and towns to see what kind of resources they might need. Again, national traumatic events, community traumatic events, employer-specific events. That's where I've seen it used mostly. They're available. If there's something that's affecting your city or town, they'll help you. They're just a phone call away. Training. So this is the most underutilized part of the EAP, and and it's free. So use it. We can schedule webinars. In fact, we did that early on in the pandemic, and so we're talking about trying to do some more of that. But you all can access this directly, and it's free. So webinars are available online. We can get in-person hours. We're limited to, I think, 30 hours of that a year, but we're not using all of it. So we're wasting. We need to be using more of that. They'll do online classes, workshops. They can help you build a training plan for your employees if that's something that you need. Again, it just takes a phone call, and they are there to provide you all the support that you could possibly ever need or want to help develop your employees, both professionally and personally. And the webinars are linked up on their website. You just log in. I think the employer code is OMAG. Log in, and you can play those. Have a lunch and learn. You want to have your employees come in, do a lunch and learn, you could do a webinar. How do you get an EAP? Well, you all don't need to worry about that because we've done that for you. But if you decided that you didn't like what OMAG is giving you for free, then you've got to go through a procurement process, which is exactly what I did. It was the very first thing I did when I first came to work at OMAG. First major project, I put together an RFP. We put it out, sent it out to all kinds of folks. He had them come in and give a presentation. We did all kinds of interviews. And at the end of the day, we selected New Directions Behavioral Health. That was who OMAG had their EAP for just their employees. So they understood who OMAG was. They understood what we were looking for. It wasn't a foreign concept to them, this whole idea of a risk pool and providing this to all of these thousands of people across the state. They're outside of Kansas City, so they're not a local Oklahoma company, but there weren't any. So it came down to two, and again, they knew exactly who we were, what we wanted, and how best to meet our needs. So we went through that process, and we got New Directions Behavioral Health. If you have questions after today, this is our legal team. So most of you probably know Susie Paulson. She was our general counsel. She's now our CEO. Woo! I'm so excited about that. And that means that Matt Love is now our general counsel. And Jeff Bryant and we've been there for a while now. Amber Gooch has just joined us. She's been here since, she's been here 3 weeks, I guess. We're loving Amber. Many of you may know her just because she's been on our outside litigation team for a long time. And now we've got her in-house, and we're delighted about that. So any of us are available to answer your calls. Many of you know that. I hope you know that. And we're just happy we're helpers at OMAG, and we love to be able to help you with what you're doing, provide support to you guys.